It's the Stretch Four Podcast, your weekly look at hoops, hip hop, culture, and life. From me, Aaron Herzog.
And me, Keenan Willis.
That's right. We're coming from the East Coast and the West Coast. It's episode 2. We're into it. We've got
Bi-coastal, baby.
bi-coastal. We've got a 2022-2023 season preview in store for you in case you haven't seen the name of the episode on your podcast apps. What does that mean? It means we're going to be choosing our picks for the awards, the champions, the sixth men of the year across
Yeah.
all 4 pillars of the
Yeah.
stretch for
Yeah.
the stretch for world. That means hoops, hip hop, culture, and life. Remember, this is a look ahead at 2023. We're looking into the future. We're not telling you who won the last year.
No.
This
We're going to tell you who's
foresight.
winning this year.
Yeah, we're going to tell. Yeah, we're not about foresight. Hindsight, that's 2020. We're 40-40. Hanging with Jay-Z. It's
Whatever
us,
happened to the
us,
40-40 club?
Jay-Z, Jose Canseco.
Barry Bonds.
I think the 40-40 club's still there. At least I used to walk by it a lot when I lived in Manhattan, or when I worked in Manhattan, lived in New York.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever made it to a 40-40 club, unfortunately.
I mean, I never went in. I walked past it a lot. I don't know if it ever popped off the way that thought.
No.
And I think Jay-Z has moved on to investing in art instead of clubs.
Yeah, he's always going to make money either way. So
If there's one thing I know, one day there's going to be a Barnes exhibit, but it's going to be the Carter exhibit. It's just going to be
just
the museum in Bed-Stuy of all kinds of impressionist paintings.
meticulously curated, but like the layout makes zero sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that I can see that. I'll visit for sure.
Yeah, are you ready to get into this, Keenan? Are you ready to give your picks?
Let's do it.
Look, we're gonna go through the four areas. We're gonna give our picks for MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved Player, Coach of the Year, East Coast Champ, West Coast Champ, Overall Champ, and Rookie of the Year from each of the 4. What are the criteria? It's open. It's wide open. However we want to define it. That's what I told you. You can put any sort of criteria. We can pick people, we can pick concepts, we can pick vague ideas, we can pick things that we made up ourselves. It doesn't matter.
Anything that might be described with the word John, it'll fit.
And it's true. Fit. That's true.
Let that be a lesson for you, by the way, those of you trying to use John. Can I give you a side rant for a moment?
Please.
Very quick.
Please go ahead. Is it about the rise of the use of John?
Yes, I would like to lay claim and gatekeep John.
Okay.
Because it's just way too overused at this point. Aaron, you're lucky enough to not currently be in the city, but there were billboards plastered all over the city this year with a local lawyer. I'm not going to give him.
I believe I saw credit. That when I was visiting in July.
That's right. I believe it. You couldn't miss him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name him because I'm not gonna do him the favor.
Yeah, please. You got to pay to advertise on this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. And
if anybody has a business that they'd like to podcast, please reach us stretchforwardpod@gmail.com.
Please. I'm ready to shill. But these billboards were all over the city, just describing himself as John, last name, and they made no sense. They were so nonsensical. I've never seen a more forced use of the word John.
I see a lot of forced uses of John on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Where people like to steal black slang constantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the point of Twitter these days.
And I need to check myself constantly.
Listen,
because I don't need to get into a Twitter fight about how I actually respect the culture.
Once you get in the fight, you're already losing. That's totally true. That's totally true.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to protest too much on Twitter. I need to stay in my lane and keep doing this podcast.
I would like to reclaim John for the people of Philadelphia, particularly the Black people of Philadelphia. But let's continue.
I could go on longer about how it's being misused and embarrassingly misused on Twitter, and we could probably look it up, and maybe we'll share a little thread on the Instagram. That's right, follow us on Instagram at Stretch4Pod. We're gonna share some hilarious misuses of John on the Instagram this week, and help
That's
clown
perfect.
those with us. Let's get into it. Let's start with hoops, the world of basketball. We're gonna go through our awards picks for the 2023 season, the upcoming season. Keenan, do you want me to start with my MVP pick, or do you want me to give you? Do you want to give your MVP pick?
Please begin.
All right, my MVP pick for the 2023 season is Victor Wembanyama. That's who it is. He's the MVP.
Okay,
I told you, I'm going concept.
Okay.
I'm going world of hoops. I'm not going MVP. None of my picks are actual NBA picks. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not giving out any actual NBA awards. None of my picks are people who I think are going to win any of these real awards. I think that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the biggest story of the year. I think he is going to be more talked about than most NBA teams. And I think that in 50 years, when people remember this season of the NBA, unless something crazy happens, they're going to remember that this was the year Victor Wembanyama became a Thunder or a Jazz or whatever he becomes, more than whoever wins the title this year. I think it will matter more in the history of NBA basketball.
I think that statement is correct. I think they both may take a back seat 50 years from now to this is the season that LeBron became the all-time leading scorer.
That's also true.
But
because 50 years from now is when somebody might be breaking it.
Exactly.
That's how long it's going to take.
Well, it'll be Victor in his 50th season.
Yeah, he's going to be a 70-year-old NBA player. Just he's breaking all the rules. Who's your pick for MVP? Or do you have more comments on Victor Wembanyama?
I mean, no, I particularly in the word valuable, I think you're absolutely right. You're going to see a lot of franchises stake their entire value on trying to get this man. So, and you'll see one lucky franchise have their value just increase exponentially once they do get him.
I was listening to another podcast. I believe it was The Mismatch on The Ringer, and they were talking about if say Oklahoma City gets not the first pick, how many draft picks would it take for them to pry the number one pick away from whoever gets it? And how many would they give it? Would they give up 10 number one picks because they have a mix of their own and other people? I don't think there's a limit on how many picks you could trade if they're other people's picks. I don't think the Stepien rule comes into play.
Yeah, I think it's just
the
your
rules,
own.
the Stepien rule. That is a rule. I don't know if it's the draft pick rule or something else.
I'm not sure if that's the name, but I think you just can't trade your own first round draft picks in 3 consecutive seasons?
2
or two.
Yeah, that's why they do the swaps, because that gets around it.
Yeah. Shout out to the Cavs. What a terrible franchise.
Yeah, that is the Stepien rule. I nailed it, baby.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, God, how many would I give up? I would. Wow, that's a great. I couldn't see myself parting with more than 5.
I think it depends on what team I am. If I'm the Thunder and I don't have to give up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't have to give up Dort, I don't have to give up Chet. Maybe, I mean, I'd probably still give up Chet, but you know what I mean? Giddey. If I can keep Giddey and Shai Gilgeous and Dort, and I would give up all 17 or whatever and bring in Wembanyama, and then you have a core. You
you're
true. Ready to go. I would give up all of them.
That's fair. That's fair. If you're Utah, you probably do too.
If you're Utah, do you have pieces though? Do you have other pieces, or does it matter? Because here's the thing with Utah, you're not getting all these cities, nobody's getting anybody. You're not bringing free agents to Utah. You're not bringing free agents to Oklahoma City, probably. Houston, Houston's a different story,
Houston's going to be good
New Orleans, different story.
we'll get to New Orleans later.
New Orleans
My
could.
feelings on New Orleans.
What if the Lakers win the lottery and New Orleans get their pick and then they get Wembanyama from the Lakers? That's my storybook ending to this season.
That would be
The
fantastic.
Lakers win the lottery, but New Orleans gets the pick.
That would be great. That would be poetic justice. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Who's your pick for MVP?
Well, so I took this a little more literally,
which is fine. It gives us
yeah,
that gives us flexibility in how we're going
that's
to talk
true.
about this.
Well, listen, you can bet my picks, and then you can enjoy Aaron's picks for the thought pieces that they are. But I'm going with Luka Doncic, really going out on the limb here.
Yeah.
But I think that this is the year that that Luka puts it together for a full season. I think he would have challenged for MVP last year had he come into the season in shape. And once he got in shape, I think he showed he's pretty clearly in that conversation. But when you look at Luka's game, there's not much he can't do. I watched him on NBA TV. They were showing some summer league footage just from practice, and I was just watching the way that he interacted with Jason Kidd and the rest of the coaching staff, and it's like very clear that he has their full trust, and Jay Kidd is like the perfect guy to be coaching him because he's Jay Kidd, but like better at pretty much everything except for maybe passing,
which is crazy to say.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I think this is the year that Luka finally puts it together. Dallas, however, maybe takes a step back.
Yeah, but with the Jokic, like the last two Jokic MVPs, you don't have to be like a top 3 seed anymore to win the MVP. So that's not going to hurt him. I don't think Embiid's ever going to win MVP. I don't think if he didn't win it last year, I don't think they're ever going to vote for him unless it was this year because it's like, all right, it's a makeup MVP, but it's hard. It's getting harder and harder to actually give makeup MVPs because of how good the league is and how many good players there are. You have to the only way you're going to get is if you're like 1A or 1B with somebody and then you get it. Like if it's him and Jokic again, like if they're the clear top 2, he's going to get it because
we're not going to give 3 years in a row. There's voter fatigue. But
yeah, exactly.
Embiid's got to win MVP of the team first.
Well,
and that's saying nothing about his performance as much as it is about how I think the rest of the team may perform this year. I think you'll have a decent amount of surprises this year. And I think you'll probably see his scoring numbers go down because he won't have to.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have to score as much. He's not going to lead the league in scoring again.
Right.
Maxi's going to score more. Harden Harden will score more than the other third option or second option that they had last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Tobias
will score more than Toby. Yeah.
Tobias will probably score more, or at least the same amount, based on the fact that he's the fourth option now, and there's going to be so much more attention on Harden and Maxi.
Yeah, for sure. So
you got any other notes on MVP? You want people to bet Luka? Is he's chalk? I would say he's chalk for betting picks.
I'm not sure right now. I'm gonna take a quick peek, but I don't think he is. I would say he's probably behind
Giannis and Embiid.
Giannis.
I think he might be. I forget. We need a sponsor. Yeah. We need like a DraftKings or whatever the betting site is. We need a sponsor. If you're out there listening, throw some money.
BetMGM.
One of those. Yeah, let us know. We're shilling already. Episode 2, we're out there looking for that money.
Listen, why not start early?
You ready to move on to Defensive Player of the Year in hoops?
Let's do it.
My Defensive Player of the Year is going to be anyone who defended the process and tanking. We're getting ours. We're getting ours this year. It's the year of tanking, and whoever defended the process for all those years is going to get credit for not being as bad as people thought, because tanking is the headliner this year, and whoever defended it is getting their due this year. And that's it. I don't know if I have to go into any more about that, but You know.
No, I feel like it's the culmination of like two processes really.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get what the Sixers organization's
Ooh,
been doing
nice.
for a
Yeah, that's
while.
good. Yeah, because you got the rise of the Sixers, and then you also have tanking from other teams. And I just
Yeah.
totally cut you off, and I'm sorry. I apologize.
All good.
I
All
got
good. All
excited.
good.
I got excited by your idea. That's what that was. I
But
was
it's
just
true.
your.
It's
I'm just
true.
a child. I'm a child. You said like ice cream or something, and I was like, oh yes, I love ice
Yes,
cream.
gotta have it.
But I got to stop
Um,
doing that.
all good. All good. All good. The second process though that I actually meant was Daryl's process after leaving Houston. I think it's
Okay.
pretty clear that he was hell bent on a Harden reunion. He made it happen last year. He surrounded him with a bunch of guys that he believed in before, and we will just be proving him right. He was right initially. We get to that championship, and we get to vindicate Daryl as well as the whole process. I think it's going to be great.
Nice. Who's your pick for defensive player of the year?
Well, so I said his scoring was going to go down, but I'm actually taking Embiid for defensive player of the year.
Okay.
Uh, Simply because he's not going to have to be the focal point of the offense. He still will be, but it's not like we're gonna have to lean on him as much as we did last
Yeah,
year.
his
And I
usage
think
rate will probably go down.
yeah, and I think he's going to take a renewed interest, and he's alluded to as much in interviews, in playing defense consistently.
And
Uh,
there's like
he
a
like he,
stronger defensive core around him outside of really Harden, but you know what I mean? Like PJ
yeah,
Tucker's there.
yeah,
He's gonna
yeah,
have
yeah,
sh- not Melton's gonna be there.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah. You have
The
Melton. You
Milton
still have
the
you still
Milton Melton brain fog has already set in for me.
you can just say the one that plays and the one that doesn't, because I
Yeah.
don't see Shake getting much burn this year.
No.
Um, yeah, but I think like you said, with Tucker, with Melton, with Matisse still here for as long as he's still here, um, I think that there's going to be a renewed focus on defense. Doc has preached it so far. I don't see why Embiid can't make his statement on the defensive side. You won't give me the MVP, so I'm going to make it so nobody else is scoring.
Nice. Moving on to sixth man of the year. We gotta move through these because we got a lot to cover.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
My sixth man of the year, I took a story that I think is going to be coming up.
Okay.
Just like a concept, like a basketball concept. I think the sixth man of the year is going to be the return of street ball, the return of like
Wow.
and one mixtape tour. It's you look at the things in fashion, you look at how culture moves. 20 years is pretty much the cycle.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years since the heyday of the and one mixtape tour. The documentary on Netflix just came out. More and more people are going to watch that.
30 for
They're
30 too.
30 for 30, yeah. The
Yeah.
the remake of White Men Can't Jump is coming out next year finally. The
Wait,
only
that's actually happening?
only thing against that is that Jack Harlow is going to be the main character, and I don't love that at all. I'm way less excited for it, but
Oh
from a
no.
from a mainstream standpoint, it's gonna be back in the zeitgeist. I think
Yeah.
people are gonna take a little bit more of an interest in street ball again, and it's gonna be on the rise.
Listen, I hope you're right, because I'll still play pickup when it's warm. And I'll be honest, I'm not that impressed with some of the talent that's there. I have no business hanging in games these days. And I'm hanging in games. So yeah, let's get a return to street ball.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like, it's gonna be less of focus on I think for a while street ball games became like shooting like 30-foot jumpers
Mhm.
because of Steph, and now
Yeah.
it's gonna get back to doing crazy moves. It's gonna get back to is this a travel or not? like all like every single basketball TikTok
Every
is,
highlight clip. Yeah.
yeah, but that's what it's
Yeah.
going to be. Street ball. That's my choice. Who's winning
I
six man
like
of the
that.
year? Where can people put their money if they're betting on the actual NBA?
Put your money in New Orleans on my man Herb Jones. As long,
Ooh, Herb Jones.
yeah, as long as they continue to start him, because it seems like they're going to start him. They're going to start Brandon Ingram at the 2, and let her play the 3. He's going to wreak havoc defensively. He's going to knock down open jump shots.
How's he going to win the 6th man of the year if he's starting?
We're talking about 6th man of the year. I looked up at the wrong note. I apologize.
Oh, you jumped to most improved.
I sure did.
So we have your answer for most improved. I like that, though. I like Herb Jones as most improved.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll take your back-to-back answer. Who's winning 6th man of the year?
6th man of the year. This is another one that's contingent on him staying as a 6th man. Malcolm Brogdon, if Boston plays him as the 6th man, I don't see any reason why he won't win 6th man of the year. He's better than any other 6th man I could think of in the league.
I feel like if Christian Wood stays on the bench, he's also a pretty good bet for actual NBA 6th man of the year. But I don't think he stays on the bench very long. I think he's going to mesh too well with Luka in Dallas and unless they just have some weird you're going to stay on the bench, but you're going to finish games, like one of those things. Right. But Brogdon's a pretty good pick too. Well, while we're at it, I'll give my most improved player of the year, Keenan, and I'm going with the one and only Bryce James. I think there's rumblings already. I think he's going to leapfrog his brother as next up in the James family.
I don't think this is a hot take at all.
I think he's going to get most of the attention. No, there's already rumblings for this. Bronny's out there signing. He's signing with Gatorade. He's signing with Beats. He's signing all these endorsement deals. Bryce is picking up that rock. He's putting on those rec specs. He's picking up the rock, and he's going to show out. I think there's a chance he's in the league before Bronny.
He's got an NBA body already.
I mean, he's that sprouted up.
Yeah.
He's sprouted up. I mean, if I'm to believe Space Jam 2, he's more interested in programming video games than he is about playing basketball. But maybe they only made that his character because he wears glasses,
Yeah, that could be part of it, just a simple stereotype. But no, I think this is a great choice. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah, I also think Bronny's going to take a little bit of a leap. He's been up and down in people's eyes, and I think he's unfairly criticized because he's LeBron James' kid. Obviously, he's going to be in the spotlight his whole life. He's going to be under the microscope from a basketball standpoint. But I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna run up move up the rankings a little bit and become more of an NBA prospect.
I think he's been working on his all around game. Like when your dad is LeBron, you're probably going to focus on making the right read and the right decision.
And he's on a major program. He's on a major high school program. He's not with he's not playing with goofy normal high school kids. He's playing with other prospects. So
right, exactly.
He's not going to be scoring 35 points a game like his dad did when he was in high school or whatever his average was. I'm going to move on to coach of the year, and this is also in line with my tanking. With my tanking is the story of the year going forward. And coach, I didn't take this literally. He's not the coach of a team, but his philosophy is the kind of guiding principle of this season of tanking in general, and it's Sam Presti. Did you think I was going to say a different Sam?
That's not where I thought you were. Okay.
No, I'm going with Sam Presti. Our boy Sam Hinkie, he's no longer in the league. I appreciate his, maybe I should change it and say Sam Hinkie. Maybe I should say the outright tanking. He's the godfather. He's the OG.
You shout out Presti, you shout out Hinkie by association.
That's true. But that just goes in line with my overall tanking is the theme of the year. Who do you think's really going to be coach of the year? Okay,
so if you're betting this, I think the smart money's Ty Lue. The Clippers have a could be a crazy year ahead of them. They could be it could be a championship year if they put it all together and people stay healthy. However, my pick, keeping with the theme of the Pels, I'm taking Willie Green.
Okay.
Not just because he's a former Sixer, but because I think the Pelicans are actually going to do something.
Mostly because
the reason I didn't have to look up who the Pels coach was is because he's a former Sixer. But I really do think that team's going to take a pretty decent step forward if Zion can,
especially if Zion's healthy. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good pick. I like that. It's an outside the box pick.
So
I haven't heard him named too much. I've heard
he's like plus 1,600 if you if you actually want to bet it.
yeah, nice. Gonna move forward. I don't have anything else to say about Willie Green. East Coast.
Yeah.
Our Eastern Conference champs this year. I'm gonna start out. I don't actually think this team is going to win the East. I think they have a chance to maybe compete for one of the top records in the East. I think they're going to take another leap forward, and I think they're going to be big time in the news once rumors heat up even more that LeBron James is going back home. My East Coast team of the year is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think I think they're going to take another leap forward. I think they're a great young team, and I do think people are going to be on that LeBron's going back to end his career, maybe with his kids in Cleveland bandwagon. It's going to heat
up. If you're holding your breath for Bron coming back, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not going to end well for you. There is no way LeBron goes back to I mean
Cleveland makes there's
a greater than 0% chance
they make the Eastern Finals this year. They make the Eastern Finals this year. They're one piece away. They guarantee that they'll draft his son.
He lives in Los Angeles.
I know that.
He moved his entire family to Los Angeles.
What does it matter?
Because he's not moving his family again.
They don't have to move.
They do have to move.
No, they don't. They don't have to move.
LeBron is our age. He has all the money in the world. He will be by the end of the season the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. He's not going to Cleveland. Not a chance. Not a chance.
You think he just stays in LA?
I think there's a chance he may move somewhere if
Vegas?
Someone's willing to draft Bronny. But if they let him buy an expansion team and be the first player coach in a long time.
Player coach owner,
yeah, like then maybe Vegas, but I just don't see him leaving.
All right, who's your pick for coming out of the East?
Well, I'm a homer.
You're a homer.
I am genuinely taking this decision, and I'll tell you why. I think that they will have an easier time in the regular season than most because there's enough talent amongst the starters to let people take a night off. Mm-hmm. There's not many teams in the East that can have one of their top 3 players take a scoring night off, and still win. I'm including Boston in that. I'm including Brooklyn in that. So I think that's one. 2. We've been better in the regular season than the other, contenders in general over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Don't check me on the records, but it seemed simpler. And so I think we'll just have a higher seed. And then lastly, like, this is our time. Philly is shining. This is our time.
You're right. I have no complaints. I have no notes. I have no disagreements.
Yeah.
It's Philly's year. My West Coast team of the year might be actually my pick to come out of the West, and also just my story of the year, and it's the Clippers. The Clippers they're very good. Kawhi's back. Kawhi's beefy as hell.
And he's had time to just analyze the league.
Yeah, they're moving towards that. They're moving towards that new home. They're moving out of the Lakers' shadow. They're gonna have their own arena.
Yeah.
LA's gonna start to recognize them. They're how people have probably been saying this for 40 years, but they're gonna kind of step out of the Lakers' shadow for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna be really good.
It'll be
good.
It'll be interesting to see them make a very deep run in the playoffs and what happens in LA, because nobody gives a shit about the Clippers. Nobody cares. I moved here 6 years ago, I guess. The last year of Lob City, tickets were super easy to get. Nobody cared. I mean, They
'Cause they're
had
not
that
the
one
Lakers,
like
yeah.
no, they had that one year, that rebuilding year where they had like sneak made the playoffs with all those young guys when they had
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And then they retooled and they brought in Kawhi and Paul George, and nobody gives a shit.
No, nobody cares at all. I'm curious to see if John Wall, I think, can make or break how much people are going to care about that team. If John Wall is back 80%, 85% of like what peak John Wall was, I think he can bring some buzz back to that team.
That's true.
Everyone forgets like how exciting and entertaining of a player John Wall was.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to do it for like long stretches of game. He can come in and just be a spark plug for like a little bit.
For sure.
Who do you have coming out of the West?
As much as this pains me to say, I'm taking the Nuggets.
Whoa. You
Yeah.
think they're going to be healthy? That's the huge question mark.
That's the big question mark. And I don't think they can be as snake bitten as they've been the last few years. If you get Jamal Murray
number
back,
2 and 3 best players have been,
Yeah. I look at a team that that has a lot of firepower in the starting lineup. They definitely come to mind. I say what you will about Jokic and the 2 MVPs. He's a really, really talented player. You would love to play with him. You put him around people that know what their job is and execute it. And I do think that the large amount of Nuggets do that. They have some people that really fit a role. Shout out to Bones Highland too. I think this could be the year if they all stay healthy, relatively healthy.
they're a tough
they
team.
could do something really special.
Tough.
Yeah,
it's a nice prediction. It's a little outside of the box, but not too far outside of the box.
Yeah. It's contingent on health though.
Let's wrap up hoops with our final
topic,
our final award, and that's Rookie of the Year. And I'm going with Seattle and Vegas. I think they're going to do it. I think they're now.
I hope you're right.
They're going to expand the league. We're going to get the Supersonics and I was going to say Aces, but there's already they wouldn't name the WNBA team. Shout out to
the championship Aces, my squad.
What if they're the Kings? What if there's already a Kings too? They can't. What if the NBA says you got to be the Queens now? We're going to be the Aces. What if they tell the WNBA team they have to be the Queens?
Wow. That would don't get me started on WNBA disrespect.
They wouldn't do that.
But they might. They might. You never know. Yeah, I could see that. I hope you're right. Seattle deserves a team. They really do. They really do.
Who's your Rookie of the Year pick?
My Rookie of the Year pick, really boring. We talked about him. We talked about him last week. I think Paolo's going to be real good.
Yeah, he's going to put up numbers.
He technically scored the first points of the first full slate of games in the NBA season just earlier this evening. He's good, man. I think he's going to turn a lot of heads. He's real good.
Nice. That wraps up.
Not going out on a limb there.
That wraps up hoops, Keenan.